So, hello and welcome. We are Frank, and we're here as a collective consciousness to s- speak of this most interesting subject today, which is sort of has been a plaything for children for centuries, but more than that, it has also been a game, a plaything for adults. So, really, it's been one of the places where it's been okay to play, to pretend as a family. You would not want to play many other things. You rarely see adults going into the fantasy games of children or trying to make illusions or make up stories. But somehow this has gained acceptance by the public, which makes it more okay to be one who almost believes in Santa. For the very belief in Santa merely means I have been playing this game so much and I've enjoyed it so much and been so intensely involved in it that I sort of feel that this is a reality of its own. You know, you have sort of made it so real for yourself that you feel it's reality. And for some kids, it is a reality. And we would not say that many kids have met Santa or believed in it so fully or blindly, but we would say that there are many kids who has enjoyed their growing with the idea of Santa. And so there's a continuity in Santa and there's a niceness in Santa. There's nothing bad about him. So he's a nice play friend to have. And the adults, to some degree or another, usually go on to this little fairy tale. And most kids do not kid yourself, adults, most kids do not believe in Santa fully. Most kids know that it's a game. Most kids just like to pretend. And when you say one day, oh, it's not true, what you're really saying and what upsets most kids is that you say, well, we are not willing to go into this game anymore. You are too old to play this game of magic and wonder and nice presents and Rudolph and a long beard. You are no longer allowed this. We will make fun of you and call you a child if you do it. And we might do it, but it's still a bit childish and it's not as accepted. And so it's really that sort of ruling that most kids are crying about. So it's in a real sense the death of Santa. Now, the more they go into this myth, the more fun they can have with it. Now, there might be a time where they do not find it fun anymore. You know, not all games are fun forever. But there is something about meeting together with others and playing as a larger group about some imaginary character that is nice and in a playful manner and with nice traditions like giving presents or stuff like that, that makes it more real and more nice and makes more people more invested in it and more willing to keep on playing the game of Santa. Now, obviously, he has a sort of existence, or he would not keep on coming up in the way he does. There is a sort of energy behind it that seems to be exposing itself through these fairy tales. And there has been men and women who has sort of tapped in, been tuned into this, and has told the stories of Santa. And so the energy is real. And so in that sense, the stories are true. Not that they have to a large extent manifested in physicality, though in smaller terms. There might have been people, real people who has sort of engaged in this energy and has manifested Baird or manifested the kindness and generosity of the Santa, and might even be one who has gone into the idea of having all these reindeers with his slate and been traveling around and visiting people, you know? And obviously, the magic part comes from the unlimitedness of the imagination, comes from the unlimitedness of your true being. So it is more like coming from the game world where they say, is this actually possible? Is this possible? Is this, would it be possible to travel to all kids in one night? Does that not sound nice? Does that not sound like a nice man? Okay. And so what we would say is that in a certain term, one day it might be something that seems possible to people, but that is not really the importance of this. the importance of Santa for most people is not the realness of it, not the energy behind it. We just want to explain it, and that most people have sort of felt this connection at some point in their life. And if you're not, you might want to reconnect. There's many other stories connected to this entity, but this is such a well-known story, and many of you have positive emotions about it. If this story doesn't work for you, find another. And if you like, go into some sort of game or play with a nice character that you like to pretend is there and watching over you and helping you. It is a great fun, and it creates atmosphere of togetherness and being together about a project which everyone thoroughly enjoys and wants to be take part of. And it sort of creates less distance between children and their parents. They sort of meet and have fun together on this fairy tale because everyone to some degree or another understands the rules, and everyone can participate in their own levels. So some people like to actually create the things that Santa would have created, and by that they actually enter into the energy of it, and to some extent becomes a Santa themselves. They have a little bit of the Santa energy, and the same with the dad really dressing up. Some for some kids it is so real because they feel the presence of the Santa energy within the parent that they actually don't really distinguish their dad or whoever is in the costume with a Santa. And with such a good impression, it is highly beneficial, and it is very uplifting for the guy playing it, which might almost be embarrassing in the society that, where they almost do not want to come back to not being Santa because they like the energy and the play and the interaction with the others of in this role so much that they enjoyed it. And some of these people have gone on to become authors and other things, and others have simply forgotten it as a sort of self-defense mechanism. So if there is, if you find fun in those fairy tales, just take as many of them as possible and move them into your days, into your events. Take the Easter Bunny, take the Halloween man, but make it a nice Halloween man. And you can sort of look around in fairy tales, and you can play around with it, and you can participate from your adult level and the kids from their kids' perspective. The good thing about the Santa idea is that it comes in a very specific form, and the kids have a role that they can easily fulfill, which is merely sometimes being good kids, but really just being kids and receiving, and sometimes also giving presents to each other. So the kids innately get this idea that they can be Santa for each other, but that their basic role, or they do not have to do something to participate, they can receive. And the adults who are more bold and needs more challenge in order for this to be a little bit fun for them can actually make this more real by putting on costumes, by creating the the pudding or whatever it's called in English that this Santa is eating. And so there is really not anything about that we would say we are against. And we would say that the part where it becomes sort of not so functional in your society is only when a kid is so involved in it that he dislikes the rest of his life because he feels it's so missing this essential playful energy. And so basically, if you are more allowing to games in general with your kids and are willing sometimes to participate in them when it's fun for you, when you can sort of find your role, your playfulness in this, then your kids will have an easier time dealing with Santa not being so real because you can keep on playing as long as it's fun for everyone. Even though the kids obviously are the main characters because it is those them that are dazzled and are struck by the wonder and fun of this game, while the parents mostly enjoy the being that person who gives them that joy, that kind of wonder. that kind of magic in their heart, but secretly often feels it themselves. And so they try to rationalize it. They try to do all kinds of things about Christmas to make it about production, about everything else, which it truly also is. The creative spirit is productive. But anyhow, we would just wish everyone to have a wonderful Christmas and to play as many games, whether it's with Santa or not. Goodbye.